People say the most painful thing in life is losing everything. But they're wrong. The real pain is being treated like you're nothing. Like you're replaceable, disposable, invisible. By people who believe they control your future. Hi, my name is Elena. And for 3 years, I woke up every morning, put on my best smile, and walked into an office that slowly killed a part of me each day. Not because the work was hard, but because my boss believed he owned my fate. He spoke to me like I was dust on his desk, ignored my ideas, took credit for my wins, made me feel small, like I should be grateful for simply being allowed in the room. And one day, after months of silent humiliation, he leaned back in his leather chair, smirked, and said, "Remember this, Elena. Everyone here is replaceable. Including you." That sentence didn't break me. It woke me up. Because sometimes, you need someone to slam a door in your face. To realize you were born to build your own. This is the story of how I walked away, built my own company, and years later, watched that same boss apply for a job under me. Not for revenge, but because life always comes back to the ones it underestimated. I was not born rich. I didn't have connections. I didn't have a business degree or a trust fund. What I did have were bills, rent, student debt, and a boss who wore arrogance like cologne. I worked in a dull gray office in New York. The kind of place where dreams walked in bright and walked out tired. Fluorescent lights buzzing above. Printers coughing like they were dying. Coffee bitter enough to taste your future. Every morning, I showed up early. Every night, I stayed late. I helped everyone. Carried departments on my back. Smiled through disrespect. Laughed at jokes that weren't funny. Said yes even when my soul begged me to say no. I believed loyalty mattered. I believed effort meant something. I believed that if I tried hard enough, someone would notice. But in that office, effort was invisible. Kindness was weakness. And loyalty was a leash they expected you to choke on. I thought I was building a future. Turns out, I was just building someone else's profit. And soon, I was about to learn the most painful truth of all. You can give a company everything and still be treated like nothing. One ordinary Tuesday, the kind where the sky looks tired and people move like machines. I gathered my courage like it was fragile glass. I didn't ask for a raise. I didn't ask for praise. All I wanted was growth. I walked into his office during lunch, notebook in hand, heart beating louder than the clock on the wall. "Sir," I said softly, "I want to learn more. I want to take bigger responsibilities. I want to grow here." He didn't even look up at first. He just leaned back, sipped his overpriced coffee, and then he laughed. Not a gentle laugh. A sharp, careless laugh, the kind that cuts more than it sounds. "Learn? Grow," he said loudly enough for the whole office to hear. "Elena, don't confuse effort with importance. You are replaceable. This company existed before you, and it'll exist long after you." The office went silent. Someone smirked. Someone looked away. And I just stood there, frozen, pretending it didn't hurt. Replaceable. Like a chair. A pen. A file. I went home on the train, tears burning my eyes, but I didn't break. I whispered to myself, "One day, I will decide my value. Not you." From that night, I changed. I stopped waiting for permission to grow. I stopped shrinking myself to fit inside someone else's limits. Days were for surviving. Nights were for building. Cafe job in the evenings. Online business classes at midnight. And mornings spent learning skills I once believed were too big for me. branding, marketing, sales, websites, accounting, mindset, discipline. I wasn't born knowing any of it. But hunger will teach you faster than any university. My friends partied. I saved. Coworkers slept. I worked. Life punched hard. I bled quietly. Sometimes I cried into my pillow so my neighbors wouldn't hear. Sometimes I shook from exhaustion. But every time I wanted to quit, I heard his voice. You're replaceable. And that pain became fuel. That insult became fire. I wasn't growing for them anymore. I was growing for the woman I promised myself I'd become. 2 years later, I walked into that same gray office one last time. Not shaking. Not scared. Just done being small. I handed in my resignation. No backup plan. No savings cushion. Just courage and fear. Holding hands like they were my only friends. People stared. Some shocked. Some secretly hoping I'd fail so they could feel safe staying where they were. But I left anyway. Because sometimes the scariest doors lead to the most beautiful rooms. I rented a tiny room above a noisy street. Walls peeling, windows shaking. But to me, it was gold. It became my office. My battlefield. My birthplace. I started my health and wellness brand. With nothing but hope and tired lungs. My first order? $9. And I cried like it was a lottery win. Because someone believed. When my boss never did. Orders trickled in. Then flowed. Then exploded. $10,000 months. $50,000 months. $100,000. Then $300,000. I hired a team. Not employees. But warriors. A culture built on respect. Not fear. And every day felt like breathing. After years of drowning quietly. Then one morning, life whispered, "Are you ready?" And destiny knocked. One ordinary morning, I was sipping my coffee, reviewing applications for a new manager role. Then I saw a name. A name I once feared, a name that once made me feel small. My old boss. For a moment, I just stared. Not angry. Not bitter. Just silent. Because life really does come full circle. His email sounded confident, but hidden in between the lines was panic. Struggle. The tone of a man who never expected the world to spin without him at the top. I invited him for an interview. He walked in wearing the same expensive suit, but not the same pride. He saw the company logo on the glass wall. The employees. The energy. The success buzzing in the room. Then he saw me. Elena. He froze, like someone pressed pause on his reality. Yes, I smiled calmly. Thank you for coming. His face shifted, shock, then disbelief, then something I once wore every day, powerlessness. I didn't know you had it in you, he whispered, voice trembling with regret. I leaned forward slightly and said, you didn't need to believe in me. I believed in me. And that was enough. In that moment, he didn't lose a job. He lost the version of me he thought he owned. He sat across from me. The same man who once looked at me like I was disposable. Like my dreams were cute little fantasies meant to be crushed by reality. But this time, he wasn't the king of the office. He wasn't untouchable. He wasn't the one deciding futures. He was tired. He was looking for hope. And he was sitting in a chair across from the girl he once laughed at. Now a CEO. The world truly spins. He cleared his throat and tried to speak confidently, but I heard the tremble. I'm looking for an opportunity, he said. I can work hard. I need this. His old arrogance still flickered in his voice. But life had humbled him enough to soften the edges. I looked at him. Not with anger. Not with revenge in my eyes. Just clarity. Because standing in front of you someday isn't your enemy. It's the faded version of someone who never believed you could rise. I could have hired him to file papers. To pick up coffee. To feel what I once felt. Small, scared, replaceable. But I didn't build my company to become what hurt me. And success isn't payback. Success is peace. So I took a breath and said softly. I don't build environments where fear leads people. I can't hire you. He didn't argue. He didn't laugh this time. He just nodded, slowly. I'm sorry, he whispered, voice breaking in a way pride could no longer protect. And for the first time I believed he meant it. Not because he became a better man. But because I became a stronger woman. I stood up and walked him to the door. No hard feelings, I said gently. You taught me something priceless. No one decides my worth but me. He lowered his eyes, whispered goodbye, and walked away. Like a chapter closing itself. Not with noise. Not with drama. Just quietly, the way some endings should be. I didn't win because he lost. I won because I rose where I wasn't supposed to. That's real victory. To whoever is listening now. They might call you replaceable. They might laugh at you. They might think you'll always be under them. Let them. One day. They'll stand in front of the version of you they never believed could exist. And you won't need revenge. You'll have evolved beyond them. Growth is the ultimate roar. If you've ever been underestimated, say it with me. I am not replaceable. Drop if you're rising quietly. Follow for more Healing Plus power stories. Your time is coming. Stay focused. Stay unshakable. Build like they'll beg to understand how you did it.